In St Lucia, we decided to go on the P&O excursion that was the Catamaran trip, to view the Pitons and to take part in some snorkelling from a little beach. We had pre-booked this before embarking the ship, but it was available to book once you were on the ship as well, so you could use your onboard credit for that if you wanted to. In typical Caribbean style, we were waiting on the port side for the catamaran to show up, so the excursion organisers had to give the skipper a ring, and he said, "Oh, I've not left yet, I'll be on my way soon." So we were a little bit late starting. However, we did get the full length trip, just meant we were a little bit later back to the ship than originally planned. Included in the price of the trip was a light buffet lunch of sandwiches and cakes, which the wind took a fancy to and blew all over the place. Luckily, most of us had had our fill by then, and refreshments in terms of drinks. So there were soft drinks available, Coca-Cola, water, Fanta, and of course rum punch. However, we weren't allowed any rum punch until after the snorkelling part of the trip, which was quite sensible because that rum punch was mighty strong. There were several areas that you could sit on the catamaran. There was a covered area inside with bench seating, which a lot of people sat in. However, we chose to sit right at the front of the ship, and there was seats available, or you could sit on the netting, which I did for quite a lot of the trip. It actually enabled me to keep cool from the breeze that was blowing and from the sea spray, which was quite pleasant because the temperatures were quite warm. The views were stunning, so make sure if you go on this trip to take your camera with you. You might want a waterproof case if you decide to sit down the front. The Pitons themselves were in the third bay that we actually visited during the trip. The first one had a yacht club and a marina there, and there were some very posh looking yachts and boats there. There also appeared to be a little private beach there that seemed to be accessed using boats only. I suspect this was for the members of the yacht club or maybe a local hotel, but it did look idyllic. The next bay we entered was where we were going to moor up, so that those of us who wanted to could snorkel, and those who didn't could have a swim if they so wished. The catamaran actually pulled right up to the beach, so you just had to paddle out really to get to the beach. There was so many bright and colourful fish in this area, probably some of the clearest waters I've seen, with some of the best snorkelling that I encountered whilst I was on this cruise. As well as many fish, here you see the yellow tube sponges and the mustard coral, as well as many other types of corals. Here we see yellow-headed wrasse, rock beauties and sergeant majors, along with juvenile damselfish flashing beautiful blues, yellow snappers and tomtates, along with blue tangs and many other beautiful fish. In the crevices in the rocks in the shallows of this bay, there were many juvenile fish, particularly juvenile damselfish and juvenile angelfish. There were also blue-headed wrasse as well as the yellow-headed wrasse. And as well as the sponges and corals already mentioned, look out for the brain corals, which look like brains. for juvenile and adult smooth trunk fish and honeycomb cowfish. Juvenile and smaller fish take shelter and hide in amongst the tube sponges. The tube-like structures forming a natural playground for these playful little fish. If you look closely, you will see the blue tang changing from juvenile stage to adult stage, where it now has a blue body a yellow tail. As a juvenile it's yellow, as an adult it's blue, and this is in its mid-stage. Between where the rocks were and where the catamaran was moored is a meadow of seagrass. Once again, the sergeant majors were plentiful in this area. As were the grunts. Back over to the side of the bay, the sea was swirling around the rocks, causing it to feel quite tidal, which affected not only the fish, but myself when I was swimming. There were abundant shoals of brown chromis, which swam around with no fear of the humans in their territory. Another blue-headed wrasse swam playfully around these rocks and corals. Flashes of electric blue come into sight as this damselfish swims by. In this case, a yellow-tailed damselfish. Next we encountered various parrotfish, including striped parrotfish and spotlight parrotfish and angelfish. The tube sponges also provide homes for sea anemones as well as the little fish. The small colourful blennies and groupers play around the corals and rocks. Here we also see sea urchins and more gobies hiding their yellow amongst the yellow of the tube sponges. Next we see a spotlight parrotfish in its initial phase of its adulthood. In its initial phase it can be either male or female, they are hermaphrodites. They change to a much brighter looking blue with brightly coloured lines when they come into the final stage, which is female, but not all of the spotlight parrotfish will turn into females. They are known as parrotfish because they have a beak which nibbles away at the corals and the rocks. More wrasse and comis play around the rocks looking for food and shelter. Joined once again by the sergeant majors. Sergeant majors are a form of damselfish. Speaking of which, here we see another juvenile damselfish hiding in the tube sponges. And here we have a brief glimpse of a trumpetfish. And now our spotlight parrotfish is joined by a trunkfish. This is a smooth trunkfish. Our time underwater was nearly coming to an end, so we turned back towards the boat, but meanwhile, as we're swimming back, enjoy more of the reef and the rocks and the beautiful fish that swim in and around them. It truly was a wonderful experience, a bit like swimming in an aquarium. But better, because this was real and the fish were free. It was now time to get back onto the catamaran, and here you can see how they have lowered steps down to enable us to climb off the catamaran into the water and back on again. And now we're setting sail to go and see the beautiful, magnificent Pitons. The Pitons are two mountainous volcanic spires located in St Lucia. The Pitons are a World Heritage Site. Each of the two Pitons has its own name. There is the Gross Piton at 2,530 feet and the Petite Piton at 2,438 feet. So not a great deal of difference between them really. However, the Pitons are not the highest peaks in the island. This accolade goes to Mount Gimme, which rises to 950 metres, approximately 3,117 feet above sea level. They are volcanic plugs, a structure created when magma, molten rocks, hardens within a vent or lava dome on an active volcano. Over time, wind and rain and sea erode the outer material, leaving only the tough inner core, resulting in these dramatic pointed shapes. Surveys have found more than 160 types of fish to sea life around the Pitons. Catamaran around and we set sail back to the port under the power of the sail. Not much beats sailing using the power of the wind. Shortly afterwards, the crew served more drinks, including this time rum punch, which indeed was quite strong. Our home for the fortnight soon came back into sight. Britannia is currently the flagship of P&O, even though there are newer ships, she has remained their flagship. She is 330 metres long, was launched in 2015 and construction started on her on the 15th of May 2013. Her beam is 38 metres and she carries a capacity of 3,647 passengers. If you have enjoyed this video, why not look at some of my others from this playlist and from many of the others. Please like and subscribe so you know when I put new content onto this YouTube channel. And if you enjoy craft, why not look by on my other channel, A Very English Craft Room.